All right, here with Mr. Picaro, longtime principal at St. Pat's, over 40 years here at the school. Mr. Picaro, tell me a little bit about the history of St. Pat's, what it means to you to be here for such a long time.
Okay, starting off, I'll let you know that St. Pat's was established in 1868, and so we have a long tradition of excellence here at the school. We've had many luminaries, many famous people who have gone through the school. I don't want to take up a lot of time with that. But in my 40 years, I've seen a transition of the student body and the makeup of the student body. We did have minorities when I first came here, and it was the Cubans who were coming in from Cuba as exiles from communist Cuba. And so we did have a lot of minorities, but now we are practically all minority, with almost 100% minority students. The type of students that we've had, we had more students that came from intact families, and now we have more students that are coming from single parent families. And the parents want something better than the failing public school system, so they send them on to St. Patrick's. And we have the same type of results. We have many students who will go on into professions such as doctors and dentists and lawyers, and we still have that. So we're still turning out the same type of student. They do come in with some baggage as far as being underachievers in the schools that they come from. And so they may come in at a lower grade level, but they do go out and do pretty well. A young man just came in the other day who's in his first year of college, and I said, "How are you doing?" He says, "I had a 4.0. And this is typical. And it wasn't that he was an honor roll student here, but we find that our job, what we do and what we accomplish, they leave here and they may be C students or low B students, and they're dean's lit students in college. So we're pretty tough on them. So we do get good results that way.
And it seems as if you mentioned it, family, a couple of times. From the people that I've talked to, it seems like the family atmosphere is something that you preach. Talk to us a little bit about what it means to come here in St. Pat's, and particularly you as principal, taking them on and having 300 different sons or daughters that you have here at St. Pat's.
Yes, I do say on many occasions that sometimes I feel like the father of 200 students rather than the principal, because when they're doing well, you're happy for them, although I don't show it too much. And when they're doing something wrong, I'm chastising them.
Excuse me for the...
Here we go. And when they are in need of something, I'm there for them. So just like you do your own children, that's how I treat the students here at St. Pat's.
And last question, you've developed quite an athletic program here. Talk to me a little bit about the balance between athletics and academics that you have here at St. Pat's, and the success, as you mentioned earlier, with academics, the success that you've had with athletics here.
I tell people all the time, we're a fine school that happens to have a very good boys basketball team. And I also let people know that it's the after-school activity, and nobody cares during the day about the basketball team. My wife, who unfortunately passed away about 6 years ago, she worked here for 13 years. One day she said to me, "You're right not to overemphasize basketball, but you're wrong because you underemphasize it." So we keep it in its place. We're very proud of the accomplishments of our basketball team, mostly because of how they present themselves. When they play in a basketball game, they don't show off. They do what they're supposed to do, and they represent us very well. So I'm very proud of what they do. But I do not want them ever to take things out of context and think that basketball is more important than their education. So while they're here, they're treated like any other student, and they accept that. And I think it's good for them. And I remember the first student who was very well known was Al Harrington, and all the publicity that he got, I felt that this was a safe haven for him, that he could act like he was just a teenage student and nothing special. So they get the proper dose of humility here to make sure that they stay humble, and their grades come first. If they don't pass, they don't play.
Here with Mr. Mangal. He's the Social Studies Department Chair and a member of the Board of Trustees for St. Pat's. Mr. Mango, one of the things that we saw here, and one of the things Mr. Picaro mentioned, is family atmosphere. It seems as if more than most schools that we've been involved with, that family is such a big part of what St. Pat's brings to the school. Can you tell me a little bit about how you incorporate that into your teaching and whatnot?
Absolutely. As you can see, St. Patrick's is a small school. Basically, when you look at student enrollment, it's a small school. That gives us, the faculty, the administration of the school, the opportunity to interact on a very personal level with our students. By personal, I mean to address their individual academic needs. If they have a deficiency in certain areas, in particular my area, social studies, which I'm most familiar with, we have the opportunity to talk to that student, call the parent in, discuss remedial action, have the student come to us after school so that he or she may get some personal tutoring. I've even used upperclassmen, okay, seniors who took courses with me before and actually used them to tutor underclassmen who were lacking. They actually volunteered their time. That's the family atmosphere. We have a very close interaction with our students, and we could deal with individual issues. Many times students will come to a faculty member here even with problems that go beyond these four walls. They may be, their work may be deficient, they may not be doing their homework. And when you speak to the student and you reason with the student as to why he or she may not be doing their homework, you get an answer that oftentimes is something that's troublesome to them, that's outside of school, that's preventing them from doing their homework. Okay? So that's the family environment. The faculty in this school truly cares. I mean, with a capital C, we care.
It seems, I've seen that throughout my course of the day here. I've seen that in the classroom as I was walking by your room here today. You had two of your basketball players, underclassmen basketball players in your class before. Tell me what role you play in terms of molding them to become the young men and succeed after St. Pat's.
We try to get them to understand, and this is a difficult thing to do, when they are of high school age, quite often they look upon basketball with more emphasis than academics. Basketball to them is the reason they get up in the morning and the reason they go to bed at night, because they've got to be ready to play basketball. It's difficult to make them understand that basketball is an extracurricular activity. You're here primarily to learn, not to play basketball. Okay? Basketball players in our school get no special privileges whatsoever. Academically, financially, nothing. And my role, I believe, because I'm very close to the basketball program, I have a lot of student athletes as students, that my role is to keep them focused on academics. The minute they falter, quite often we'll see that a basketball player will come into class, say, unusually tired, okay? I feel my role is to spot this. And where we see a problem, bring it to the attention of either the coach and or the parent. And tell that parent, you know, what's going on. And quite often it has to do with the fact that they go to bed unusually late. They want to catch up on their computer time at night, their Facebook time, okay? We also look for deficiencies in homework, where, oh, I had practice last night, I didn't do my homework. Well, that's something that has to be dealt with immediately to break that habit and keep it broken.
Absolutely. And the last question in terms of, we hit on a family type of atmosphere here. What do you think separates St. Pat's from a lot of the other schools across the state in terms of succeeding both academically and athletically?
I do not know if we're separated with the implication that the other schools are not doing this, but I think in our case we do it a lot more, and that's caring for the student. Getting involved with the student in terms of not just academically, but not being hesitant to call a parent in if we detect a personal problem, or being there if the student needs us. Now, that's certainly not to imply that other schools do not do the same thing. I'm sure they do, I have friends who teach at other schools, and they do it. But I think nobody does it, no other school does it better than us. Maybe no other school is so ready to do it as we are, because of the type of students we have. Okay, we have students who come from many geographic areas who may not be familiar with this area. Demographics are a part of this school, a very important part of it. So we feel that we do that better than anyone else. We maintain an environment of discipline and self-integrity, whereby a student knows that even if they're not playing, they're an athlete, they're on our varsity basketball team, and they're not playing for a given reason, they still come to the game in uniform with tie and sweater on. That's that discipline that we try to instill in them. And I think we do that better than any other school.